I mean, they crumbled at the start of the season when the pressure was on. They get themselves into a title race because really the pressure's off them at that point. And then once the pressure's back on, that's when they crumble again. So is it any surprise? Is that Danny Rowe's fault? I'm not so certain. What's your take on it?
Well, look, I mean, that segues nicely into another big thing that Cavenagh said, where he echoed Danny Rowe's comments and sentiments about having to get new leaders in at the club or in at the dressing room. I think we both expect, James Tavernier, the captain, obviously leaving. I think we both expect the leadership group at the club pretty much to be ripped up in the summer with new blood injected into it. And Cavenagh, as I say, reiterated that. I tell you where I've got an issue with that, Andy, and I agree. Listen, I agree with the sentiment in general. I think Rangers are crying out for new leaders within that dressing room, but I'm just struggling to work out how it's took Andrew Cavenagh, other people at the club, even Danny Rowe, why it's taken them so long to realise this. I mean, I feel as if you'd asked a Rangers fan, even if you'd asked any of us as journalists a year ago or when Danny Rowe arrived at the club, what was needed, I think we'd have said, it needs leaders. It probably needs a new captain. I know I certainly said in the summer, last summer when Russell Martin arrived, I thought his first move should be to go and sign a new captain, and that wasn't me having a pop at James Tavernier. That was me basically saying that after years of failure, if Russell Martin was serious about coming in and changing the culture at Ibrox and changing the culture in that dressing room, he had to rip it up and start again. It needed a new leadership group. But he didn't do that. He stuck with the same characters. He stuck with James Tavernier, Jack Butland, John Souttar, Nico Raskin. The guys that were already in there stuck with the same captain. And I think it certainly backfired on Russell Martin. And Danny Rowe kind of paying the price for that coming in October. So I agree with what Cavanagh's saying, but as I say, I just don't understand. It's almost like, when you arrived a year ago, most people could have told you that this was the problem. So it just leaves Rangers playing catch up, if you like, and it's not going to be easy. When you think that they want to go and immediately challenge for a title, if you're going to revamp a squad, completely change a dressing room, put new leaders in, sometimes it can take time. And as you've touched on there, Rangers and Danny Rowe don't have time at the start of next season. I don't know what you think of that.
I mean, definitely don't have time. I mean, as I said, I think I said on here last week, you look at the schedule coming up, they're going to have to, in the opening round of fixtures, they're going to have to go to Celtic Park, they're going to have to go to Tynecastle, they're going to have to go to Pittodrie. You add in the European qualifiers, 4 games to get through just to reach the group stages of the Europa League. They're in the position where they really can't afford any slip-ups, or else you're back in this rinse and repeat cycle that we keep talking about.
If you sign leaders, Andy, they need to be pretty much ready to lead.
One of the things that we spoke to Jim Gillespie and Andrew Cavenagh about was, the recruitment and just the fact this is a World Cup summer. We all know that, effectively, the further down the food chain you are, the sort of more you're reliant upon the clubs, the bigger clubs getting their business done, because it's only then that the guys in the fringes of these bigger sides that they move down the food chain, and Rangers obviously a good way down that these days. So the World Cup will delay that. Clubs will wait to see who the big figures are in America and Canada and Mexico this summer. So that could slow down business. And so, Rangers, believe they're going to be going in some sort of training camp sort of early July. The league starts the first weekend of August. The first qualifiers will be sort of around about the 6th or 7th, I think it is, of August. Rangers need guys in next week, basically. They need a whole. I've just written a piece for the website that sort of goes through just how many players are, there's only 23 players contracted for next season if you take away the likes of Tavernier, Liam Kelly, I think Bailey Rice, I think his contract's up. 6 loan players are away. And of that, 23, 6 of them are basically guys coming back from loans elsewhere. There's a huge amount of work to be done. I mean, we spoke to, say, Cavenagh, and he didn't want to use the word rebuild, or I think he preferred to use the word revamp. But I mean, for me, they're looking at least 10 in and out this summer.